Yesterday, Nintendo had a direct. Surprise, surprise. But I went through and I did a reaction to it. Mainly just the four things I was really interested about, which was Metroid Prime 4, the Greatest Collection, and the Marvels Beat 'em Up, the Virtual Game Card. And there were sync issues with the audio and all that stuff. And I'm not going to go back through and cover all that stuff, but I really wanted to talk about the Virtual Game Card, what it is and how it works, and, well, at least how I think it works. Because it involves having a family plan, and the family plan is something many might not be used to or familiar with. So let's go take a look at it.
With game cards, you can put a game featuring Mario in this Nintendo Switch system.
We're going to pause it several times as we're going through and looking at it.
Freely inserting the games you
Sometimes
have on
some
hand,
text pops up on the
any system
screen.
you want.
So it's kind of obvious, and some of it I think needs a little bit more explanation, particularly stuff with the family plan.
Game cards.
But just saying, oh, hey, it's kind of going to be like how you can lend somebody your physical card if you own it. Now we're going to let you do it virtually.
Virtual game cards can be used for digital
But obviously there's some caveats because of licensing and all that good stuff. So you buy a game, you install it on your system, and you can play it. The neat thing I think is how it looks like it's going to categorize all of your digital games in one location. And is it only going to be games like Zelda and Mario and those kind of AAA games, or are you also going to be able to do this with your indie games? It's pretty cool. How do you load it on a second system? Let's find out.
If you have two Nintendo Switch systems, you can eject a virtual game card.
So the internet connection is required only when loading or ejecting. Still have questions on what does it mean exactly by loading. So every time you load up the game, and unless you are done with the game, why would you want to get rid of it? Which will force you to do it, as they say later on, after 2 weeks.
Load and arrange which games you play on up to 2 systems.
It's an interesting idea.
Local communication.
There's definitely some questions about how is it all going to work.
But only the first time.
You're going to have to link your systems through the Wi-Fi. Here's the thing, it's the family group. So the family group, you can have up to 8 people grouped together as a family. Now, but what is the family group? What does that mean? Well, what is a Nintendo account family group? It applies to the Nintendo Switch family, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, and Nintendo Switch OLED model, and your Nintendo account. And obviously, this is, I think, something that's going to help them prepare for stuff on the Switch too. And that way you can send games back and forth between your multiple Switches. So Nintendo account family group allows up to 8 Nintendo account users to connect together into one group. Family groups can include one admin account to manage the group. You can have a parent or guardian account to manage Nintendo eShop restrictions. For supervised accounts, aka for kids, small children, that you don't want them going on and buying a bunch of stuff. Don't link your card. Just go buy gift cards. A general Nintendo account, supervised Nintendo accounts. Family groups can include users with Nintendo accounts with different country settings. So you're not going to have to be close by to make this work, is what I'm thinking. Because if I can, I'm here in Georgia in the United States, and if I've got a friend in the UK and we want to group up, we can do that. At least for this family group. But it sounds like you should be able to do that also for sharing your digital games. Just know that My Nintendo activities, missions, My Nintendo points, etc. is not shared between members of a family group. My Nintendo points can only be viewed and redeemed by the member that earned the points. You might also find additional information about the different roles in a family group helpful. So let's go there. What are the different roles in Nintendo account family group? Obviously, admin, the one that's going to oversee everything. So if you want to get a bunch of friends together, 8 friends together, including yourself, then one of you has to be the admin. What does the admin get to do? They can add or remove members from the family group. So don't piss off your admin because they might boot you. You can assign roles within the group, so you can change it from parent to guardian or supervised, which would be interesting if your 30 years old and you're in a group and your buddy's like, I'm going to play a joke on him. I'm going to put him in supervise. All of a sudden you lose a lot of abilities to use your Nintendo account online. Because once you're supervised, you can't even leave the group. The admin can also transfer the admin role, which makes sense. You can adjust Nintendo account settings for users subject to verifiable parental consent laws in the family group. But yeah, so that doesn't necessarily state, okay, yeah, you can force someone to be it doesn't say if you can force somebody to be this doesn't say that if you can all of a sudden make somebody be a supervised account. And see, supervised Nintendo accounts can use the standard Nintendo account features, Nintendo eShop, My Nintendo, etc., but cannot perform any functions within the family group. So it'll be interesting because they can't even leave the group. But the general and the parental guardian can do that. The parent or guardian has a little bit of admin access. You can adjust Nintendo eShop restrictions, which if you have a small child, I would think you'd want to cut them off from the eShop completely. Much safer that way. They can leave the family group. But the general, all you can do is leave the family group. You can't do anything else, which I think would be fine for most people. But it says you have up to 7, you have up to 8 parent or guardians, because the admin account is obviously a parent/guardian. But it's gonna be interesting for, the supervised role if like friends want to play a trick on you or something. But what it is when you create a Nintendo account, you can create the family account, and that gives everyone in that group access to Nintendo online. So for multiplayer and all that other good stuff. And if they do the Plus expansion, then you can get access to the Genesis and the N64 and those extras that they have put behind that little bit smaller paywall. When we got our Nintendo, we did a family account so that myself, Prin, and the Munchkin could all play games online, because it's not, locked to the console, it's to the account. So using Xbox as an example, my Xbox, anyone that gets on there, if I've got Game Pass, whether it's Core, Ultimate, whatever, can get on there and play games and go and play online. As long as that's my home console, anyone who jumps on there should have the ability to join me in playing a game online. I guess that's not... Nintendo doesn't see it that way. But so that's a little bit about the family group, the dynamic of it. I believe Prin was the admin for the account, and we bought everything through her account because mine was the Xbox account, hers was the Nintendo account, so we shared. Even though I still buy most of the games on both systems, but that's okay. Back to the Nintendo Direct information. Let's go ahead and keep it going.
So lend out virtual game cards to your Nintendo account family group members.
Yay!
Your family group member
You shared
system
it.
via local wireless when you want to lend a game. Choose the title you're lending.
Now, that part about the Wi-Fi is kind of interesting. It's just basically, do both of them have to be online at the same time so that I can give you access to the account once we're in a family group membership? Be interested to see how this all works and if it'll even be worth it. Maybe it'll make it easier if you have multiple switches to take your game with you depending on the system that you want to play on. If you've got the one that you keep at home, if you have your Lite that you're taking on the go, which I don't take mine on the go, so.
And who you're lending it to.
So if you cut that right there,
You can choose the title.
You can send it off to the family member. Yay!
And you're done. They can now play on their own system.
That one may have gone too far back.
You can only lend one game at a time to a particular
But
person.
you can send out,
Games can
share
be lent
games with
out for
multiple
2 weeks,
of your friends
after
or
which they
family
will
for
automatically
14
return to
days.
you.
And then it automatically gets come back. So you don't have to worry about someone running off with your digital game.
Use. Virtual game card.
I'll give you some option on what you can do with it to set it up. You see your family group. You can choose who you want to send a game to or lend the game to. And also, if you're lending it, it means you don't have it anymore, so you're not going to be able to play it. Because that's the way it sounds to me, which, take it for what it is. If you've beat the game and don't want to play anymore, that's fine. But like if it's an online game, it could pose some problems. If you're trying to play with a friend, like I don't think this is going to allow you, like, oh, hey, I bought the game, so let me send it all to 3 people, and we can all play together. Nope. You can send it to one person. That's it. And then they have access to whatever that game has. Thankfully, as it said, so you don't lose your save information when it goes back to the owner. So you can maybe just borrow it again. So not a bad thing to have. So they thought about it somewhat.
It too?
Send it and then send it. And so,
And you're done.
Since as long as you're in your family group and you can have members who aren't in your household in your family group, you shouldn't have to come next to each other and hold it, and let the 2 systems connect to send a game or to lend a game out. You should just be able to do it through Wi-Fi. You might have to call them up on the phone. Hey, I'm getting on. Ready your Switch. Get on. All right, let's try it. It'll be interesting to see what happens when it actually drops late next month. And maybe there'll be more information next Wednesday when the Switch 2 information drops, or more Switch 2 information drops, which apparently a lot of that has already leaked, which I haven't looked to see anything. I've been trying to avoid it because it's Wednesday. I can wait a few days. For now.
They can now play on their own system.
Yay, play Mario Wonder.
You can only lend one game at a time to a
So
particular
it shows,
person.
all right. You can send a game to each of 3 different people. Can you send multiple games to one person? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to find out. And wait and find out. Waffo. Wait and find out.
Games can be lent out for 2 weeks, after which they will automatically return to you.
Save dollar will not be able to return
Making
virtual
digital
games.
games even easier to
It's
use.
an interesting idea.
Virtual game card.
I just really just not sure how well it's going to work in actuality. I'm sure Nintendo's done a bunch of testing and there's just some stuff that we're not thinking about, that I'm not thinking about how this is going to work and how people are going to use it. So, it's, like I said, it's waffle. Wait and find out. We'll see how useful it actually is. I'm wondering how well it will work running things between the Switch and Switch 2. I think there's a lot of questions about the family plans and all of that. And so you get your family group, you get your admin, you invite your 7 people, and then those 8 people can lend games across the way. And doesn't matter where they're at. And you only need the family membership for Switch Online. Anyone in the group can buy a membership for that, and it works for all 8 people. So for 8 people, and if everyone has their own Switch, like for 8 people, you only need 1 account. Now, again, you need to make sure that this is people that you trust. They're not going to, do one over on you, because all of a sudden you could have Switch Online and they kick you out and then you don't have it. And there goes your plans for the weekend. So, it'll be interesting to see. What are your thoughts on the virtual game card? Is it something useful? Is it something that you're going to make use of? Or are you just like, what is the point of this? And why can't Nintendo get their act together and just let you play your games across different consoles easily? Because I mean, Xbox does it pretty nice. Yeah, I can play a game up here on my Xbox Series X digital. I can go downstairs and play it on the Xbox One as long as they're both downloaded there, and the save is seamless. I don't have to, it's like, syncing with the cloud, pulls it down, run and go. But Nintendo's really still the last bastion for physical for us collectors. That's great. But it's going to be interesting to see how well this works. Because, like, if I can send games to my buddies and they can send games to me that we can play, it's like, oh, hey, I just got this game, check it out. Doesn't take long to beat. You'll have lots of fun. But, like, for the new Marvel beat 'em up game, that's not what it's for. It's because we're each going to need a game if we have it digitally so that we can both play it together at the same time. Just like if we had physical carts, we'd usually need a physical cart. So this is not going to eliminate that, I don't think. But there's some thoughts on it. I'd love to hear y'all's questions and thoughts on this. Till then, everyone, take care, have fun, be kind to one another, stay safe, keep retro, God bless. We'll catch you all later. Retro 360, occasionally Switch.